What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Football Focus Weekly. Tonight, we're going to have a lot of good stuff for you. A lot of predictions tonight across Gaston County, Cleveland County, Cabarrus County, Union County. A prediction-filled show. We're also going to talk about a little bit of name, image, and likeness. We had a couple stories come out that are interesting that we're going to discuss briefly. Toward the end of the show, we're going to have Jamie Bolton, the head coach of the Cabarrus Warriors, and Trey Cavanaugh, the head coach of the Cuthbertson Cavaliers. So sit back, get comfortable, relax, and enjoy another great edition of Football Focus Weekly as we get closer to the start of the season. I'm slamming this week is snow tubing. Snow tubing, number one, is not made for men of my stature. I can't deal with this Man 21 game, man. It's so terrible.
Y'all act like football stops being played when y'all leave Mecklenburg County. We play football here in Cabarrus County too. And then even though it was raining, I was rolling around in the yard doing freaking grass angels out there.
Hallelujah!
Hey.
Oh my God.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is make sure your wife, your girlfriends, your mistress, look, I'm back.
See, I got my hat on backwards. And it ain't because I'm a G either. It's because I'm angry. I'm going to tell y'all why I'm angry.
So I'm going to have to start. This is going to be a large group of people. So I might have to walk around with like a slime gun or a slime cannon, or maybe put the slime in like an old school super soaker.
Joe Hughes! Joe Hughes! Cowboy Joe! You know it's a big night if Cowboy Joe's here. My goodness.
Y'all always put me on blast first, man. Who am I slamming? Good question.
All right. Let's go, man. We're running a little behind, but we got a lot of good people with us here tonight. Of course, we have the engine, Kenneth Mcclamrock, Cabarrus County legend, known A.L. Brown interrogator, or instigator, I should say. Get my words right. Welcome.
What's up, Pat? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We had the Queen back after 1 week of PTO. Welcome back. Good to have you. We have
What's going on, people? I'm ready.
We had the producer.
Yo. Good to be here.
Yo, it's good to see you. And we have the legend himself in the first time of season 3, Joe Hughes!
Joe is in the building.
What's up?
Now they won't
Doing well.
shout outs to Pep anymore. What's up, Pep and Joe?
All right, so we are going to get started. It's going to be a fun show because we're going to make a lot of people angry with us.
Good.
We have a lot of...
Good,
All
man.
right.
It's good for business.
Okay. We have a lot of predictions that we're going to do. Full disclosure, these are my predictions. I like to share that. Don't yell at these guys. I made them up. So y'all got some smoke or whatever. Send it to Pep, man. All right? So we're going to go first with South Piedmont Conference predictions. And I'm going to get them up on the screen here. Get my things set up. I should have had it ready, but I was dealing with a couple things before the show tonight. Let's get that set up right. There we go. All right. Kyle, I see your comment. I'm not addressing it on this show. I will address that separately. You guys
That
watching
dating
on?
line is open.
Oh God! Look,
I did notice that. I wasn't gonna say anything, but
I appreciate you guys being aware of what I put on my personal Facebook page. But
Yep, we're all in on the dating game for you, buddy.
well, thanks to your great message, it has generated a lot of interest.
he gave you a ringing endorsement. You can't go wrong with chicken wings
Yeah.
and hotline access.
Well, we'll talk more after the show about that. All right. So here we go. South Piedmont Conference predictions. All right. So, Kenneth, you are the resident area expert here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that West Rowan is got to be your number one pick going into the season. They've been good for a long time. They're not West Rowan of 10 years ago by any means, but they're still a pretty good football team until someone else knocks them off. I've got them as number one as well. Also have Central Cabarrus as my number two pick. Central has lost a lot of kids, but they've got some guys coming back that I think in a league that's filled with parity is going to allow Central Cabarrus to keep winning football games. Where we differ is I have, and this is going to surprise you, I've got Concord as being number three.
Oh, wow.
Concord's got a big offensive line back. They have some guys back on the defensive side of the ball. And their quarterback, I thought last year played with a whole lot of piss and vinegar, man. He's a tough little joker. And I've heard good things about him already this week. And then I think it's where the league gets super, super, super kind of muddy as far as the talent levels. South Rowan, we talked about, we had Coach Walsh on the show, huge numbers. They were expecting 90-plus this week. Northwest Cabarrus, Carson, East Rowan. I've heard rumor that East Rowan lost one of their top players to another school in the area. That's going to hurt them. Coach Crosby's third year at Carson. They should be ready to rock and roll. They've been in the weight room this whole time. That bodes well for them. I'm curious to see what Coach Mormon and those guys at Northwest Cabarrus is able to do in year two. And then I definitely have Lake Norman Charter at the bottom of the barrel because I don't think they have a football team this year.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that would explain, that would make some sense. If there's anyone that knows about Lake Norman Charter, please chime in. I'm not sure if they're playing or not. But to add on to what you're saying, having Concord third, I can see that. I think they've got some talented guys. They got the young man Caden Pursuti as an athlete that can play at running back or he can play DB. He actually came to our camp as a defensive back, and I thought he showed well with some good athletic ability. And one of those linemen you're talking about, Caius Hartzell, big guy. Yeah.
His brother plays at Wingate. His brother was a Shrine Bowl kid. And they've got another big lineman, Hackett is his last name. And I believe from what I saw on Twitter today, he's related somehow to Swag over there at Independence.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. But, for me, the reason why I put Northwest Cabarrus third, I do have a lot of faith in Coach Mormon, as you said. I think Coach Fly, he came to our camp and coached offensive line, did a great job. And they've got some, talented guys coming back, for them as well. It'll be interesting to see, as you said, for the rest of them, South Rowan definitely with those kind of numbers is one you got to watch. You see, you got that kind of numbers. You hope some kids are going to rise to the top and, separate themselves and make a place for themselves on that team. You guys, Queen, producer, Joe, you guys got any thoughts on the rest of this league right here?
I don't know if I quite go third side, but I just got this feeling, this inkling with Concord as well. And it's probably just got a lot to do with, some of the scores of the games they didn't win last year. I just feel like they'll be, I guess the words feisty or something like that. I feel like they're going to surprise some people this year too. I don't know if I quite say, third, but I feel like definitely I can see them moving up higher than seventh for sure, just based on who they got coming back and how they performed last year. So I see where Kenneth is coming from on that one.
I've got Concord winning 6 football games this year. I think they go 6-4.
Wow.
Which will be a huge. I mean, I don't know if they've won 6 games the past 4 years total.
Yeah, and we've had, coach on the show before, and he's kind of talked about some of the challenges at Concord as far as trying to get kids, into the school and get their numbers up and things of that nature. It's good to see that they're going to make the progress they've been making. They were close in several games last year where they weren't expected to be close. So obviously, Coach Paxton is making some progress, over there.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think a third place finish here. Heck, you couldn't even count them out for second if you got them third because they were right there with Central last year.
Overtime win, right? Central won in overtime.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think that was week 1, correct?
Week 1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, there you go, man. As far as the rest of these teams here, to be honest, I don't know much about Carson or East Rowan, but Kenneth, I trust your opinion on those schools. And but yeah, cream of the crop, definitely West Rowan. I've got memories of playing against West Rowan. I think, producer, you got some memories too. My junior year, they had a big 320-pound 6'3" guard who laid me out on the inside trap, and I'm still seeing stars today. Scott Young, rest in peace, but man, that was a nasty play right there. You messed me up on that one.
A lot of meat and potatoes being eaten out there in Mount Ola.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, so that's our South Piedmont conference prediction. I'll put all these up on Twitter, and I'll probably get some people sending some hate mail, but that's all good, man. Because at Football Focus Weekly, we like to smoke, so go ahead and send it. It's all good.
That's why we're here.
All right, next conference we're gonna look at. We're over to Union County in the Southern Carolina Conference. This is an all Union County league now. Charlotte Catholic has moved up to 4A, and they've moved on to the Southwest Conference, which we'll be looking at next week. So, for me, this is what I've got. I got Weddington number 1. I know they lost in the playoffs, and everyone thinks it's the end of Weddington. There were some state polls that didn't even have Weddington in the top 15, which was, I thought, pretty crazy, but hey, it is what it is. I think they're still the best in the county until they get knocked off. Porter Ridge, obviously number 2. I think with Coach Hurts and those guys, well coached, they got some really strong leadership this year. Some talented guys that have been in the program, been through the wars. 3, Marvin Ridge. They've been right there knocking at the door. They were close last year. They had a close loss at the end of the season to Catholic that I think could have got them in the playoffs if they were able to win that game. And then Cuthbertson, same thing with them, man. We talk about I think it's the Memorial Day Miracle, Tim Winters out of Union County called it, where Catholic threw a pass and they were able to get a tip and score to knock them off at the last second, toward the end of the season. And we'll have Coach Kavanaugh, as I mentioned, on the show later tonight. Sun Valley, they peaked with Sam Howell a couple years ago. I think they're still kind of building back, from those years where he took them deep into the playoffs. And in Piedmont, with another coaching change, they hired a young guy this time. I think that will help. Hopefully, it brings some stability, but that's what that program really needs.
Believe that he's a Piedmont guy.
I think so. Yeah. So, Kenneth, we'll start with you. What's your thoughts about these guys right here?
No, I mean, I think we would probably be identical. Weddington is the big boys until they're not. Union County is good football. It's one of the top counties for football in the state. Porter Ridge is always at the top. Marvin Ridge every 3 years or so has a really good team. They're always going to have a good offensive line. They seem to always have a good quarterback. Cuthbertson seems to always have good skilled players all over the place. Can they crack that top half? That's a great question. They're right there every year. Sun Valley, I think that they're still a little bit falling behind in Piedmont. God bless them, man. Those jokers work hard, but that's a tough league to play in.
Yeah, it's very hard. And, them going to 4A was a big surprise. I thought they were going to stay 3A. And, them moving up, man, that's a tough road ahead for sure.
Oh.
But I tell you, man, I remember back in when I played, and I know producer will remember this too, we weren't very good, and neither was Piedmont. And, it's funny that, That's why I cover teams that are down, because those guys need love too. Those are some great memories. And we beat Piedmont on Halloween night and homecoming my junior year. And we all piled in the end zone, and for some reason Channel 3 was there. I have no idea why. We got on Football Friday night, and it was a great time. But anyways.
Yeah, I was just telling Eddie Conway, who's a fan of the show, yesterday. In 1997, we played Piedmont. Of course, we were in the same league. And you could always count on Coach Smith. He was going to stick by his discipline the week of Piedmont. I mean, during Kannapolis week, if you cussed, you weren't going to sit out. But Piedmont, he was going to enforce every rule there was. In fact, I watched my junior year's film versus Piedmont this week, and I'm like, man, where is this kid and this kid and this kid? And I remembered, they were all suspended for a quarter and a half because that was the week that you could sit the entire team. We were up 41-0 at halftime, and it was worse than that. But fun memories.
Oh, that is funny. That is funny. We got a nice comment here about the Marvin Ridge quarterback. The Metters at quarterback will have Marvin Ridge in contention. He's the real deal. That's good to know, because their quarterback previously, I think it's McDermott was his name. Real tall, talented kid, 6'4", Sully McDermott. Yeah. What a talented kid he was, and he graduated, of course. So that's good to hear they got another guy, under Coach Carter, who's done a really good job since coming over from Lake Norman to lead that Marvin Ridge program. Guys, y'all got any other thoughts on the Southern Carolina Conference?
I mean, I'm right there with you guys as far as how everybody's ranked. I will say this for Porter Ridge, being able to watch them. I know that they're a team that's on the rise, and I actually hope to see them do well this year. I don't know much about Cuthbertson and Sun Valley and Piedmont, but this seems like it's going to be a really competitive league this year with these 6 teams, and so I'm interested to see who's going to come out at the top.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think the top 4, even though Weddington has been on top for so long, a lot of talent has graduated through the program, so they are reloading a little bit this year. But with those guys, they're so well coached, man, and it's been going on for so long. You got to give them their due. It's almost like they're a carbon copy of Charlotte Catholic, to be honest, when you watch them play. It's textbook execution. Everyone's going to be in the right spot. If you like defensive football, Weddington Charlotte Catholic over the past few years, you have been in heaven. Because it is textbook defensive, low-scoring football. Old school, some people might brand it that way. But now Weddington doesn't have to worry about Catholic. But I think in the county they've got some teams that they're going to have to really take seriously. And, if they have an off night, I think anyone in that top 4, has a chance to knock them off this upcoming season. So that's a good point, Cherie. Anyone else have some thoughts here?
I mean, I think Monroe is glad to get out of that conference finally.
We're going to look at Monroe in just a second. That's a great segue, Kenneth. See, that's why you're the engine. Keep the show moving. All right. Rocky River Conference. And you mentioned Monroe. I've got them number 1 here. West Stanley, number 2. Parkwood, 3. Anson County, 4. Forest Hills, 5. And Central Academy, which I think is just playing JV football this year, is back at 6. And they go back and forth. It's a interesting situation there at Central Academy. But Kenneth, we'll lead with you. What are your thoughts on this?
Monroe has one of the top coaches. I think he was the coach of the year, or whatever that title is that was given back a few weeks ago. They always have a ton of athletes. We played against them when I was coaching at Concord. Just super talented, lots of speed all over the place. They're going to fly around. They're going to play home run football. They're going to go for the gusto. West Stanley. I don't know a whole lot. I'll take that back. I saw West Stanley play last year versus Mount Pleasant, the first round of the playoffs. Was really impressed. They had a stud fullback who I believe is back. He got hurt versus Mount Pleasant, and I think that really hurt them. He got hurt after he went all the way down the field and scored. He got hurt the first play on defense. Parkwood, Coach Giddens, of course, is a friend of the show. Coach Giddens has an extremely fast and athletic offense. He's got a ton of skill players. The Mobley kid, whose brother played at Catawba and who played in some professional arena type leagues, is a stud player. It'll be interesting to see what Coach Jackson's able to do at Anson County. They always are so talented. I think last year the COVID bug really hurt them as far as kids being eligible. It'll be interesting to see, was he able to get some of those kids back? And then at Forest Hills, I think they're quietly rebuilding at Forest Hills. Their numbers are up. They've put together a really good coaching staff, some guys that I really respect. So it'll be interesting to see if Forest Hills kind of makes the jump back up. Forest Hills dominates in basketball. They dominate in track. They used to dominate in football throughout the 1990s. They were one of the top 2A teams in the state. It'll be interesting to see I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but can this coach enter in year 2, I believe, can he get Forest Hills back to where they used to be? I know he was a college guy. I just can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter. I was trying to look him up real quick, but the West Stanley kid you're talking about is Hudson. Fullback, and he is back. He's a 2022 kid, so that's going to be yeah, he is, man. Guys, any other thoughts on the Rocky River Conference before I kind of share a couple things here?
Well, Monroe had a really good run last year, or in the spring, I should say. So I'm curious to see if they can stay at that level.
Yeah, they knocked off. They went down to Kings Mountain and knocked them off. In the second round, and that was a big win for sure. That got them to, I believe they played Catholic a second time for a chance to go to the state championship game, if I remember correctly, or it might have been a third round, one or the other. But
I think you're about right.
That's right.
We know they'd like to get there and take care of unfinished business, so to speak. So we'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, Monroe with Shalik Knotts, of course, the big name recruit that they have on their team, was such a talented wide receiver. If you've never seen him play, you need to check out his highlights because he is dynamic with the football in his hands. My goodness. But then they got some other guys that can get it done. They have a guy, Reed, who's really electric on the defensive side of football. And they always seem to have a athletic quarterback with a cannon for an arm. no matter what, Kenneth, you talk about them playing home run football. They always have a guy that can sling it for whatever reason. Parkwood, I have them third because they played a lot of young guys last year. A lot of those young guys are obviously coming back. You mentioned the Mobley kid, and then their quarterback, Enos, I think is going to be a real talent that maybe a lot of people don't know about.
They've got a big tight end, defensive end type as well. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. One of the state top wrestlers.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's awesome. So, that's a good safety, target for a quarterback like Enos. So, I think offensively they're going to be dynamic. I remember when we had Coach Gittens on the show, he was excited about, their offensive potential. And then, you said your friend, Coach Jackson's at Anson County still, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, it's a tough place down there right now because they used to be one of the best 4A schools in the state, and then just the economy has just killed Wadesboro, and now they're sitting at 2A, and it's tough. It's real tough, man. But yeah, as far as, like you said, you had said some good things about Forest Hills. I know we have a Forest Hills fan that watches the show from time to time. I don't know if he's on. I think if he was on, he'd be mad at me. But yeah, so that's the Rocky River Conference. Oh, we got Cherie back. Let's get her back on. Pretty straightforward. We got a lot of people watching, not a lot of people talking, so we must be right. All right. Now, I think they're waiting for this one. It's Gaston and Cleveland County time. And you know they love to talk. All right. Big South Conference. Joe Hughes. I'll let you go first.
All right. Of course, we had talked a little about South Point the other day, and they're probably the only team in this conference, or at least has the least amount of question marks. You know what they're going to run. You know what they're going to do. They're going to be big and up front, and they're going to run the football. And they have two mammoth offensive linemen in Sullivan Absher and Jacob Patterson, who both are getting recruited pretty highly right now, and justifiably so. And then they have a pretty good fullback in Tyson Riley, who finished second in wrestling in his weight class last year. So this conference is a toss-up. There's just so many things that are just out of whack, and you just don't know in comparison to previous years where you had the Dontavius Nashes, the Kobe Pace-Hours, the Day-Day Wilsons, and a host of others. It should be a very competitive conference, and it wouldn't surprise me to see a surprise winner out of this group.
I totally agree with you. You know, we talked the other day when we were at Ashbrook, but South Point, like you said, my comment, that run game, you know what's coming. It's kind of like playing Catholic. You know what's coming, but you just can't stop it. I mean, being physical at the point of attack, it's fun to watch if you like old school wishbone option football. The thing that has always hurt South Point is obviously defensively the passing game. But when you look at this league, you don't see a ton of teams that can really throw it. You got Stuart Kramer's probably the one that, is really going to throw it. But, you look at them, the issue is they can score, but will they be able to stop people enough, to, not be in shootouts every week, was what we saw last season. With Kings Mountain, they lost a lot. Joe, I think you had a really good breakdown on, some of the things that, they've lost, obviously, with, the star linebacker Wilson and, Jafari Rice Wilson and, Reed at quarterback and, just some guys that were really, really special for that team. And then, Crest, Joe, I just stole from your article you did. And, that's where that came from. But, yeah, when you lose a whole offensive line, I've been through that. And it's oh, my gosh, it is so stressful because you're sitting there, you have to reteach everything 100 times just to try to, get some sync and camaraderie right up in front. But, out of that group, Ashbrook, they got some key guys back. They got the quarterback back. They got Carmelo Best back. They've got, some linemen back. With Coach James, he's injected some energy into that program. That was their first winning season in a long time last year, right?
I think it's since 2013 or 2015, one or the other. Mm-hmm. But that defense for Ashbrook really took over late in the season. I think they had around 18 sacks during that final stretch where they won 3 games in a row and ended up with a winning record. And they really took it personally. And if you look at the stats for Ashbrook offensively, they don't wow you whatsoever. I think they averaged less than 200 yards of offense per game. Mm-hmm. But when your defense is giving you short fields and doing things in all 3 facets, you don't really need to have the wow factor. You're winning in field position. So that's something that I really feel they're a real threat to win this conference, if you ask me. Of course, the South Point game is kind of a mix because they just have trouble with South Point. That's been historically a game that they have had trouble with. Kings Mountain and Crest, they'll figure that out themselves. But if they can win that South Point game, watch out.
Wow.
Now, Joe, you got me wanting to change my Concord predictions because one of those 6 wins, I've got Concord winning versus Ashbrook. week 1.
It's possible. The question is whether that offense for Ashbrook will have enough firepower to help that good defense really get over the hump.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So then, Forest View, I know you said defensively, they look good. Jacob Neely at linebacker's back. He was wasn't he defensive conference player of the year?
He wasn't defensive conference player of the year, but he was the leading tackler for the conference.
Okay. Yeah. I like that kid a lot, man. He's a
Christian Williams might be their best player on defense, if you ask me, though. Just because of his physicality. Jacob Neely is a good cleanup man. He just sure tackler, fast to the ball, smart kid. Christian Williams he just devours everything in front of him, and he had a breakout year last year, and I expect him to do a lot of great things again this year, especially for a Forest View defense that is expected to impress.
Absolutely. And then Stuart Kramer. I mean, what else can we say about Justin Rockmore, quarterback? I mean, good gracious. I mean, just a incredibly talented young man. Even with a smaller frame, he finds a way to get it done, all the time. Now, his receiving core, a couple of those guys graduated, right?
Yeah, he's basically breaking in a whole new receiving core, and that's the only thing that really kind of worries me a little bit, along with them kind of shuffling the offensive line. Last year, that offensive line was extremely experienced, whereas this year you lost a couple pieces off of it from the spring. But if they continue, he did a lot of things even without a lot of the offensive line's help. So he's kind of that Russell Wilson type of guy that he's going to make a play regardless. He was, along with being their top passer, he was also the team's leading rusher last year. So
wow.
We also know that he's gonna get yardage. The question is whether they'll be able to do enough, and whether they'll be able to play team football, whether everything will come together. That's really it for them.
Absolutely. And then we kind of talked about him on defense. Aries Nash, one of the best defensive linemen in the area that you may not know about. He came to our camp and was impressive. Was definitely a top 3 defensive lineman. It was my first time really seeing him up close, and he needs to be getting a little bit more recruiting attention because what he had not this year but his sophomore year, he had a ton of tackles. It was like over 100 tackles or something like that. Yeah,
and then he got it. His only problem the past 2 years has been he got hurt toward the middle or toward the end of each of those seasons. And that's probably been the only thing that's really kept him from shining more than he probably deserves.
Absolutely. And then Hunter Huss, they were really strong for those few years with Coach McCoy. A lot of those guys kind of graduated out of the program, and now they're kind of reloading a little bit. But, doing my research on them, they got a really good kicker over there.
Jesus Marine, yes. Yeah, he joined an elite fraternity last year. He's one of the few guys to actually make a 50-yard field goal. So he's a strong leg, and if you get in field goal position, field goal range, he can boot it through, and that's a real weapon, especially at this level.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I would expect Huss and maybe next year or 2 years to really be challenging for a top 3 spot in this league once all that youth kind of builds and grows together. And then North Gaston, I've been really impressed with what Coach Clark has been doing up there. There's been a lot of positive things in the community, a lot of team building things, and trying to bring some tradition back to North Gaston. What can you say about those guys?
Just block by block. They're just trying to get there piece by piece. And one of those pieces is Jaden Barnett in the secondary. He's a real good kid, real sound in everything he does. And I really think this is going to be a big year for them, just confidence wise, especially with how topsy turvy the conference is. they're another sneaky team just because of the fact of how weird this conference is going to be. It wouldn't surprise me to see them steal 2 or 3 games. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me to see anyone do that just because of this is going to be a lot of parity this year.
Absolutely. Losing Ashton Miller, though, is a big,
huge,
big loss for them. If you're not aware, Ashton Miller is now at Mountain Island Charter. It's more of it's not what you think. It's a family situation.
Family.
So, we'll leave it at that. But, I think the Big South is definitely wide open. I think South Point, though, is the favorite here. Anytime you got a big offensive line and you're coming downhill every play, ain't much you can do. You can scheme all you want, but strength is strength. So, obviously, I think Joe, this is the first show I have not seen anybody criticize us. I'm scared. That means we're right. If we're right.
Nah, they're coming later.
They're taking notes. They're taking notes. Ready to sneak this right once we get anything wrong.
All right. Well, let's take a look at our next conference here, and that is the Southern Piedmont Conference. So, Joe, I'll let you kind of start off on this one.
Yeah, the first 2 are pretty much what you would expect anyhow. Both of those teams are absolutely loaded. Shelby is, even though they're replacing quarterback and running back, they have speed all over the place this year. And it's going to be tough for a lot of great defenses to even keep up, just with whether you get the receivers, you got to deal with Isaiah Bridges, you got to deal with this guy and that guy, and it's going to be dizzying for a lot of teams this year trying to keep up with them. And then defensively, Malachi Hamrick's back at linebacker. You have Santana Hopper and Jaden Pierce on that defensive line. You have TJ Griffin, who he's going to be remember that name right there, TJ Griffin. He's going to be a kid that is really going to have a breakout year for Shelby this year. He's everything you want in kind of a hybrid defensive back. And he has the range, he has the size. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. Burns and Shelby, you wouldn't be wrong flip-flopping them either way. Of course, I know I'll go Shelby just right now just because of the fact they have the game at home, as well as the fact of they just have a past history of beating Burns. But if this is a year for Burns to do it, this is the year with as much weapons as they have. They have guys that had racked up yards in bunches last year, and they're just young. The running back is going into his sophomore year. They have a wideout that's going into his sophomore year. And if they can find someone who can replace Starnes and Goodson on those edges on defense, watch out, because they're loaded everywhere else.
Absolutely. We have our buddy, Coach Weber, chiming in. We'll get his comment on the screen. Who have the best defense in the state. We have a lot of youth and a great group of seniors to balance us. Easily the best D-line in the state. Woo! All
hey,
right.
If you look at their size without pads on, you wouldn't sit there and argue. They really look the part. Again, in going to that first practice on Monday, they're really putting it on the defense. They're saying, "Hey, you gave up 5,000 yards last year. You gave up 50 points a game. If we're not going to let that happen again, and anyone that gets anything against us this year is going to earn it." And that's them setting their tone. And whether they'll be able to put the proof out there on Friday nights, but I really believe that they can. And that Shelby Burns game at the end of the season is really going to mean something.
Oh, yeah.
And I really look forward to it.
Absolutely, man. And then, Coach Devine at Burns, I thought has been doing a great job. He was in the Queen City Senior Bowl last year. Really, really great guy. Really enjoyed talking with him and getting to know him a little bit. But then the rest of this league is kind of interesting because we've got some different teams, in this. Thomas Jefferson, this is a 2A, 1A hybrid league. But, I mean, Thomas Jefferson has been one of the best area 1A teams for a while. Do they have enough to challenge Burns or Shelby?
It's going to be tough. You can't play. You can't just have one weapon against either one of those teams, and you really tend to think that those teams will really key in on Dakota Twitty, and he's a major athlete and deserving of all the accolades, but they will have more than one eye on him, more than two guys on him, especially if he's their primary threat. But I'm really looking at that Thomas Jefferson East Gaston game because that will really decide third. And East Gaston is returning a whole lot. I think Coach Postel said they're bringing back all but 4 players from last spring. Wow. Yeah, and Justin Hill, their starting running back, ran for more than 800 yards. His last game, he ran for 276 against North Gaston. So they're really a team that really you should be looking at as a possible team to sneak into a playoff berth in 2A.
Wow. Okay. I know. I interviewed Markel McKinney, who's the other back, who's kind of a athlete. They kind of move him around a good bit. And then I like their quarterback. He was young, but he looks like he's going to grow into a threat. At that position. I know there's some excitement over there. I had several of their kids when I interviewed Markel reach out and they want me to come to the East Gaston North Gaston game week 1, and
that is always a fun game. It's always fun. But
I didn't know it was a rivalry, but apparently it was pretty eventful last year. So.
The last 2 of their games, the North Gaston, East Gaston games have been decided basically on the final play. The one in 2019 ended, I think it was 21-14 score, and it went down to the final play of the game, a Hail Mary, and of course last game went to overtime, and East Gaston won that. So,
wow,
it's always something special that happens in that matchup.
Man, okay. Well, I mean, I know we're going to Shelby Kings Mountain week 1, but I mean, if it gets out of hand, I might go back to North Gaston. It's right up the street from my house, so I might sneak in a fourth quarter there. The final 3 teams: Bessemer City, Cherryville, and Highland Tech. What are your thoughts on those guys?
With 5 and 6 in particular, you can probably flip flop them either way. Cherryville has a lot of good defensive pieces coming back. Landon Hahn had 6 interceptions last year. Bessemer City's bringing back Gerard Holmes for his third year starting quarterback. Justice Cooper also is coming back. He played in 4 different sports last year: football, basketball, baseball, and track. So a lot of high caliber, high character athletes. And Highland Tech's kind of a wild card. Of course, they bring back Trent Jones, but they lost a lot in terms of production, especially at the running back position last year. From last spring.
Caleb Foster. I was very impressed with him. Watched a lot of his film. Looking at Queen City Senior Bowl candidates, and I liked this game, man. He did a lot for that team. It's good stuff. Of course, he has to have his presence felt.
I hope he was getting a haircut. We can't have him out. We can't have him out there representing us looking like a straggler, man.
I think he's got that fade tightened up a little bit. All right, producer, you got any thoughts about these guys right here?
Almighty Shelby, you knew what it would be. Especially coming off, they, I guess to their standards, they might have been, a little bit down last year compared to where they expect to be and how they expect to perform. Not in the grand scheme, but so I knew they'd be. You'd had him right there at the top. So looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah. Well, full disclosure, I had to put Shelby first, or Webb was gonna come find me and beat me down. So,
Oh, not only
uh,
him, the whole town was gonna come beat you down. You know how that goes. The whole town, they would have had charter buses coming to beat you down, Trevor. You
Mhm.
dreamed of putting them at number 2. So you already know. I know that was you had to look out for your own safety. They're good. They're a great team, but you also had to consider your own safety as well.
well, in the Facebook group that we always talk about, I think I would have been vilified and probably kicked out, even though I'm an administrator in there somehow. I don't know how that happened, but anyway.
I know how that happened. Your favorite South Point Red Raider fan.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you involuntarily got made an administrator, huh?
Yeah.
Good old Tommy.
Yeah.
Good old Tommy Wilson.
I'm sure he'll watch this at some point and he'll be laughing and sending me a message. So thank you, Tommy. Tommy does a lot of good stuff, man. He's got that page rocking and rolling, and
Rolling.
To say the least.
Oh man.
Rolling, all right.
Coach Webb, we here to talk revenge tour starts at Kings Mountain. Oh boy. All right. Well, there you
He's
go.
the main one. He's talking. He's talking. My guy. That's my guy.
We love you, Coach. I'm going to have to get you back on one day, man. All right. We're going to pause on the predictions for a minute because we got to talk a little bit about something that has been in the news. And that is this name, image, and likeness stuff. All of a sudden, it's coming into high school football. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was a story about one of the top recruits out here as a quarterback. He's not going to play his senior year. He's going to commit, I think it's Ohio State. And he's going to start cashing in on name, image, and likeness. What do you guys think of something like that, man? That's crazy.
Not at all surprised, to be honest with you. I'm not surprised at all. And I'm kind of torn on this. You can't blame a guy for putting his own best interest, in mind. But at the same time, it's like, do you want to create that culture? Do you want to create a me first culture within high school, to where you got talented guys, moving on and only thinking about themselves? So now this other team, you got to put your own interests at heart, but at the same time, it's like, okay, this team's down now. Imagine you're a wide receiver on that team, and you got an inexperienced quarterback. So now your film looks a lot different, perhaps, if you don't have you're counting on your senior quarterback to be leading you. Now you don't. So, I don't know that you want to just. If it's just a few instances here and there, I think it's fine. Not every kid's ready to move on early, but I hope the floodgates don't open to where you just see the whole landscape of high school football start to change sometimes because kids are, jumping out early. So, I hope it doesn't get too crazy.
Real quick, man, my thoughts on this. I did an interview with Fox 46 the other day, and we talked about a number of things. And, of course, on TV, you can't really put everything on. But one of the things that we talked about was this topic. And the thing that I told the reporter, Morgan Francis, with Fox 46 was, I think this is going to affect the top 1% of kids, in any, metro area. Hollywood over at Chambers, for example, he's already got a sandwich named after him at some restaurant. You can't profit off of that. But then you start thinking about some of the kids that have come through here over the years. Big Curtis Neal, he was on our show as one of our player hosts in the spring. He's got his brand, already out there, trying to profit off of it. He's up at Wisconsin. There's some other guys that have, graduated from the Charlotte area that have, picked up some of these deals. But from a high school perspective, I agree with you, producer. I hope that it does not become a trend that, seniors are not going to play because they want, early money before they even get to college. You only get to do this one time, man. And, we talk about it all the time. Some of the best high school memories are playing with your teammates on Friday nights, especially in your senior year. You got a whole lifetime to make money and do this and do that, and especially for some of the most talented kids, you never know what the future holds. You could get hurt. There could be all kind of things that happen in your career, and you look back and you could win a state title at your high school. Now I know it's cheesy, and some people are going to say, who cares about that, in the big picture, but that stuff is a big deal, to a lot of people, man, especially in the community that supported you and helped you become the star that you are. So,
I was gonna add something, man. That I really hope that a lot of kids aren't faced with a tough decision. Because let's just be honest and transparent. We get a lot of talented guys out here that don't come from the most stable of financial backgrounds as far as their family goes. We talked about it before, where kids have to make the choice between going to work or going to practice, and they're forced to work to help out their family. So unfortunately, you might get a lot of kids that are in just a tough decision to where I really don't want to leave my team, but I need to help my family out. So unfortunately, it's going to create some tough decisions some kids are going to make, and I just hope that isn't too prevalent where kids have to. I don't want a kid to feel forced to go and hopefully can profit, but unfortunately that might be the reality of it. And also kind of going back to what you said, a lot of you get guys that have made it all the way to the NFL, finished their NFL career, and while the NFL might have brought them a lot of money and accolades, there are NFL guys out there that still, some of their most fondest football memories are still with their guys in high school. I mean, that's just high school football is kind of football in its purest form before you get a lot of the politics and money and things like that involved. So, I don't think just because you might have a future past high school in football, you shouldn't make light of, the high school experience at the same time. Just my opinion.
Yeah, that's well said, man, for sure. Kenneth, I know you got some thoughts on this. I'll let you go ahead and weigh in here.
I think it's an unintended consequence of NCAA opening this up. There are a lot of college freshmen in this state who are already profiting off of this NIL, especially at your bigger schools. You hope that this doesn't become commonplace. But, we saw at UNC just this past season where a kid forewent his senior year of college in Virginia and went to Carolina and started as literally a true freshman, but like what should have been his senior year of football. There are definitely guys out there. I think these big schools are doing everything they can to make their kids able to profit off of their name, image, and likeness. I think that's going to continue to grow. I think that's going to become part of the recruiting pitch. And I don't think it's going to be unusual to see the top quarterbacks and running backs, especially the guys that we see all over Twitter and Max Preps and the likes, maybe deciding to make that move. If Bryce Young can clear $1.5 million and he hasn't started a game yet at Alabama, why can't other quarterbacks come in and make $50,000, $60,000, $100,000?
Some very good points for sure. Joe, did you have anything you wanted to add on this?
I just want a Bojangles sponsorship.
Well, is Sam Howell not the luckiest? Come on, man.
Oh, man. We got some good.
Checking some Supreme sounds good, doesn't it?
Indeed. Indeed.
Coach Hart from Olympics got a good comment right here. He says, hey, we're losing kids to Carowinds. Money talks. We're not paying high school kids. Well, we shouldn't be paying high school kids. not for football.
I had at Central Cabarrus, I had a kid who was in my class. He legitimately below parallel, back squatted 550 pounds. He bench pressed 330 pounds. He power cleaned 275 pounds. He was strong as an ox. He played football as a freshman before I got there. Didn't play during my 3 years. And And I asked him at the end of his junior year, I was like, dude, why do you not play football, man? You are strong as a freaking house. You're athletic. He had good hops. And he said, Coach, I make $25 an hour laying brick. I can make $30 an hour in the summertime. And at that point, I said, you know what, Noah? I get it, dude. You keep laying your brick and have fun. He was already into his career. He was making as much money as I was making teaching, laying brick. I get it. And if these guys, once again, man, $50,000 will double some of their household incomes.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And that kind of leads into a different conversation we were having about the whole, GPA stuff and, remote learning and kids and parents needing kids to work and all that. But, some of that does tie in here, and some of it is relevant. If you've got a chance to, help a family situation and you're a talented kid and someone is offering you, some money and, telling you, hey, don't play football and we'll pay you this,
It's a tough call, man, because at the end of the day, high school kid, I couldn't imagine, even beginning to make $25 to $30 an hour as a 15, 16-year-old kid. So, if you got that opportunity, it's hard to argue against that. I mean, there are working adults who are much older who still are not making that, now. We talk about that all the time.
Absolutely.
But I guess the flip side of the coin, the downside of that, when he's older and has grandkids, he's not going to have the kids gather around and tell them about the glory days of laying brick. It's just not going to happen. It's not the same with being able to talk about your football glory days and having those memories and stories and newspaper articles and things to look back on. It's just you're not going to have those memories. So you have to think about, unfortunately, you're making a choice. What are the memories and those experiences worth giving up the immediate money? Because that's just how it is. You're not gonna have those fond memories to look back on. You're not gonna be able to just tell your kids and grandkids about, oh yeah, man, let me tell you about this long hot summers laying brick. Even though financially it makes a lot of sense, and that's great money at that age. He's probably gonna be financially secure because of this that start he had. So it's a toss up, give and take.
Absolutely. Some good points. And Coach Billups, you got some good comments. I wish you were here on the show to share them, but unfortunately, I don't have time to put them on the screen. So if you're watching on Facebook, go and check out Coach Billups' comments on this great topic. But right now,
he wishes he was me.
But right now, our first guest is here, so I'll put you guys in the background. And we're going to bring on a talented young coach up in Cabarrus County. He leads the Cabarrus Warriors. They had a great season last year, making the playoffs of a very young team, which is very impressive. His name's Jamie Bolton. We're going to bring him on right now. Coach, what's up?
Hey, Pep. How's it going? Appreciate you guys having me on.
Man, I appreciate you coming on and joining us right after practice. I mean, I know you literally just stepped off the practice field, so, I appreciate, taking a few minutes out and talking with us, man. So first of all, some people may not know what the Cabarrus Warriors are. So can you kind of explain, how you guys are set up there?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is my second year as the head coach of the Cabarrus Warriors. We're comprised of two teams, the Cannon School and Concord Academy, formerly known as Concord First Assembly. And so they combined teams in 2019. This is going to be our third year with the co-op in my second year with these guys. So that's our co-op. The numbers were such that they had to combine a few years ago. So that's the position we're in. But yeah, that's us.
Yeah, and you guys, I love, seeing you guys up close. I've been up there a couple times. Talk to us a little bit about, how the spring season went for you guys.
Well, it was great. We had great numbers. I think we were averaging around 43, 44 kids a day with our 9 through 12, and that's good for us. We went 11 days, and we just got so much work in. Our whole coaching staff could be there. We were ready to go, and it was good. It was a really good spring. We got to see some new kids come out. So kids that hadn't played previously are now coming out, lacrosse players and baseball players, and so it's a really good time to be a Warrior, it seems.
Awesome. That's great, man. And then, as I said, you guys played a lot of young kids last year, and you made the playoffs, and had a really good season, won some close games against some good teams. Well, talk to me a little bit about your prospects for this upcoming season, in your opinion.
Yeah, like last year, we started 6 freshmen and I think 5 sophomores on that team with some really good senior leadership. And so those two things combined for us to have a successful year. Won some really close games. I think our points for and against versus common opponents in 19 was like 114 to 111. So we won some really close ones, and we lost a really close one too there. So a lot of close games. These kids showed a lot of grit. This year, it's going to be interesting to see if what kind of mindset we'll have. The mindset are we going to have? And I talked to our team in our parent meeting Sunday night, and we kind of brought this visual of a windshield with a rear view mirror. And I said, what kind of mindset do we want? Do we want a rear view, mindset where we're looking back and we're conference champs, first in school history, went 5-3, 4-0 in the conference? Or do you want a windshield mindset where, we're not done? We have a lot to do here. We want to continue to grow our program, continue to change the culture here. And seeing these young kids step up as leaders is going to be important. We have our captain's council now, led by 10 of our guys, the majority of which are underclassmen. And so we're not afraid to do that and put guys in leadership positions. And so things are probably still the same. We're not going to bring up as many freshmen this year. We likely won't have but one maybe that we're going to bring up. But there are going to be a bunch of youngins again, and with only 8 seniors, 4 of which have never played. So we're still pretty young. And we'll see if we can, have those close games be a little bit not so close anymore.
Absolutely, man. So talk to us about how this first week of practice has been going for you, Coach.
Well, the first 2 days were really good. Just getting those kids. We got about 50 kids out here right now.
Nice.
And that's with about 8 or 9 freshmen that we're evaluating to kind of see and to give them an opportunity. But the most part, we got about 42, 43 that we're going to probably dress on Fridays. And so getting used to all the kids getting reps, here, I think somebody sent me a picture 2 or 3 years ago. There was like 24 kids out of practice. And so now it's just a little bit different, and we're having to get used to, we dressed 32 last year. So we're likely going to try to 2-platoon a lot of kids. So that's actually been really good for us. We can have a full offensive practice and a full defensive practice basically at the same time and double our reps throughout the weekend. And today was a great practice. I thought our kids are really doing a good job of learning. That's their goal this week, is to learn, to understand, be coachable, live in the moment. We can't play tomorrow yet, and we can't do anything about yesterday. So just living in the moment is kind of what we're about, and our kids are really taking to that.
Man, that's awesome, Coach. That's good stuff, man. We're going to bring on our resident coach, Kenneth Mcclamrock, and he's got a question for you.
Coach, how are you?
Good, Coach. Thank you for having me on, and I really appreciate it.
I'm glad you're wearing your hat because, man, I have to admit, once again, I'm so jealous of your hair. I don't have any left.
Oh, man. You rock it well, man. You rock it well.
I had the clock strategically placed so you can't see the bald spot. Coach, tell me, going into year 2, what have you learned after one full season being a head coach, one full season of this co-op situation, one full season of a COVID, craziness that it was? What have you learned going into year 2 that's going to make you and your program even more successful?
I think just understanding the community. Our community is such a strong community. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of humility, to come together as one, and to see our families come together for family events and seeing our players come together. I know that we have a strong bond, and I think taking that strong bond with our team allows us to overcome a lot of adversity. And I think we saw glimpses of that last year. I think, I don't take any of that for, lightly at all. And we evaluate our team. One of the big things we evaluate is, the character of our players. And we have some really good families. Both of our schools are super big into values. And I think we align with both schools in that. And our program, I think, is flourishing because of it. But yeah, going into this year, it's going to take a lot of the same, a lot of love on our team, a lot of patience with one another, holding each other accountable the right way, and moving forward in the same direction.
That's awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. All right, Coach. We got scrimmages coming up next week. Where can we see you guys in action?
So Wednesday, the 11th, we're going to be at North Gaston High School. My buddy Justin Clark over there. We know each other from way back in the day, and our dad's Bruce Clark was the head coach in the late 90s, early 2000s there while Justin was a quarterback, and I got to grow up watching Justin. My dad was the DC at North Gaston and for Bruce, and so we've always kind of had a cool connection. He was at Ridgeview when I was at York, and he was at Gaffney when I was at York. So it's cool that we're going to get to play each other again. He came up here this summer and did a 7-on-7 with us, and so we're scrimmaging at North Gaston. Hickory's going to be there too, from what I understand, and obviously two really good programs, really well coached teams with Coach Glass at Hickory, and me and him know each other too. So it's going to be kind of cool to go back into Gaston County, my hometown, and see what our young group is made of against those two well coached teams.
Man, that's awesome.
And then Friday, the 13th, we'll have Charlotte Latin at our place. Game type, 4 quarters, running clock, halftime. Got the uniforms on, and so it's our first real big test with one of those big Charlotte schools. So we got two tough days next week for sure, but we'll see what we're made of.
Nice, I like that, man. Getting the guys a taste against Charlotte Latin, that would be real nice, man. Good stuff.
And Coach Harden does such a great job with his guys, and so it's really good to go up against well-coached teams. So that's really what I wanted to focus on: scheme, great cultures on all 3 of those programs, and so hopefully we can stack up a little bit and compete.
Absolutely, man, for sure. What time is that scrimmage on the 11th?
The 11th is at 5 o'clock at North Gaston High School, and then we have Latin at home Friday at 7:30.
Oh wow, that's like a Friday night game.
Yeah, okay. That's what we want. We want to try to have a trial run and get the jitters out, if you will.
Nice, good stuff, man. So what? Who are some guys that are looking to stand out, for you this year, Coach?
Well, Tyler Greene, our quarterback, was a freshman last year. I think he finished in the top in several statistical categories at quarterback, and man, he's gained about 20 pounds. Nice. He's a lot more mobile, and then he's always been a smart kid, and so having him come back as a sophomore is really big for us. Gavin Powell is a returning receiver. He was second receptions on our team last year. He's gained 25 pounds. We had a lot of kids at like 140, 150 last year. These kids are going to be 160, 170. Tyler's 180. So, we got so on offense, we got that. Then you have Will Jones at running back. He's a lot more explosive. He's been working with speed coaches and nutritionists, and these kids have really been working their tails off. And so we're excited about what we have on offense. Up front, we have everybody coming back, I think, except for one.
Nice.
One guy up front. So Jack Schultz is back. He was an all-state honorable mention left tackle, didn't give up a sack last year. And so we'll have him coming back. The right tackle, we have a returner coming back. And so Hayes Galloway is going to have a monster year for us. He's worked his tail off as a big kid up front. So a lot of our offensive line is back, and so defensively, Jack is on defense. We got Miles Stratford back. He had 6 sacks last year. Jack had 8. So we got Randy Marion in the middle of that defense at linebacker. Josh Reed broke the tackling record last year for us with 43 solo and I think 63 overall. So he's coming back. Eli Snodgrass and Cole Frood return as our all-conference DB. So, and Jackson Skurlock's in that mix too, and with a bunch of new players providing a lot of competition at a lot of positions. And then special teams, with 2 big guys. One, Todd Polino just committed to Duke to be a kicker. Yeah, so he had a big year for us last year, 18 for 18 on PAT, long of 45. And then we have a long snapper, Grant Mills, that's going to be a sophomore. And those things are just so huge. We won a bunch of close games last year and took all 3 phases every single time. So, we got a lot of returners, and we're just excited about, where we're heading.
Man, that's awesome, Coach. You're one of my favorite young coaches in the area. What you did last year, it should be celebrated. It's just an incredible feat to take a team full of young guys and just a few seniors to an undefeated conference record. And I'll tell you now, I'm gonna do predictions on your conference next week, and I got you guys in first place. So.
Well, I appreciate all the kind words, and our kids work really hard. I tell you, both the schools work very hard, and the support from the community and parents that's what it's all about. And I couldn't have asked for a better situation, and so I'm very humbled to be a part of the progress so far.
Absolutely, Coach. I'm gonna try to be at that scrimmage next Wednesday. We're actually gonna move our show to Tuesday next week, so we can let everybody go ahead and check out some scrimmages. So, hopefully I'll see you next week.
Well, that's awesome, man. We always love seeing you around. The kids get all hyped up, and they're excited about tonight. So I think they rushed home to try to catch it. So you do such a great thing for football and the community and just football in general, and we appreciate what you guys do for us and having us on. You're becoming a close friend too, so I'm glad we know each other.
Hey man, anyone that'll help me, change a tire is a friend of mine. So
that's good, man. Anytime, man. I've been there, man. I've been there.
All right, thank you, Coach. Man, we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night.
All right, you too, bud. All right, so that was Jamie Bolton. He was the head coach of the Cabarrus Warriors, doing some great stuff at a program that has. I think some people kind of forget, they're around, but, they're doing some really good things up there, and we're excited to have him on the show with us. All right, so we go from one coach to another coach. We got back-to-back interviews. This young man is the head coach of the Cuthbertson Cavaliers, doing some great stuff down in Union County. That is Trey Cavanaugh. We're going to bring him on the show right now. Coach, what's up, man?
What's up, Pet Man? Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know you're just coming off the practice field as well.
I am. We got to get the heart rate down a little bit. Yeah, I ran up here from the practice fields. We finished up with some JV stuff, and that drilling gets going, and your heart's beats per minute are way up there. So I'll let you talk for a little bit while I try and get into interview mode here.
All right, well, I'll give you a few seconds, Coach. The biggest thing that, I love about what you're doing down there at Cuthbertson is, you're definitely marketing the program. And one of the things that I saw was you were doing the camp for, I think, the younger kids down there. How did that end up going?
Man, it was awesome. I think that with COVID and just not having to, the same type of community football atmosphere as normal in Waxhaw, having it was really special because you don't see a kid for 16 months from one season to the next.
Yeah.
You kind of just it's just a huge deal when you finally get to be back with them and see some faces that you kind of forgot about. But we took a lot of pride in it. For us, it's a way to pay assistant coaches on top of stipends there. So that was especially important to me, and I kind of broadcasted that to our community too. Just like almost, you don't want to call it charity because they work so hard, but we did ask a higher price than what a lot of people ask, and in that price was that notion that it's going to go for a good cause. Also, we had scholarships and stuff like that too because we just wanted to see those kids, but it went really well, and it was good for the high school kids and hopefully good for those young kids and the community as a whole.
Absolutely. We got a comment, Coach, I want to share. Miss Moten is, hey, Coach Cav, missing you at AK. So
yes,
you still got some love over there.
Trust me, I miss Jameer too. I wish I had a couple of Jameers. She's got an amazing son who's an athlete, not only on the football team but the track team as well.
Oh, yeah.
Just absolutely is lightning. But that's great people over at Audrey Kell, Greg Jackham, and those guys. We actually put them on the schedule for next year.
Oh, wow.
And we like to play good teams and that have good programs and doing the right things, and they check all those boxes. So yeah, I definitely have close ties over there. I still have those kids, and in the Queen City Bowl, I was actually had the opportunity to coach 3 of my old Audrey Kell kids And that was really, really special for me. So I can tell you I appreciate that a whole bunch. It was cool to come all the way back around and get those kids that I coached their freshman and sophomore year and get them their senior year one last time.
Yeah, that was an awesome experience, man. I appreciate you being a part of it too.
Yes, sir.
So talk to us a little bit. How's the first week of practice been going so far?
It's been awesome. We've had good weather, which has been really, really good for us because you never know with that lightning and stuff going in the afternoon. We've had morning workouts. We've had a really good strength coach come in from South Carolina that's been leading that and doing that a little bit differently for us and giving us a new taste. And then we've got two or three new assistant coaches. One of them is Kevin Saxton, who's our offensive coordinator now, and he's just been lighting it up for us. And the kids have a really, really cool sense of urgency about them and competition-wise. We graduated upwards of 20 kids last year, and the young kids have done such a great job stepping up. And it's probably been the two best practices in the first week that I've had since I've been here. And it really says a lot to them to go straight from spring ball to this. It wasn't a whole lot to catch your breath and get your mind completely focused, but they did a great job with it. We had the opportunity to go to Wing It over the summer, which really was helpful for us, not only for football and X's and O's and stuff like that, but team morale and team culture, which I'm sure and most people know that's just as important as anything else. Just those kids getting to like each other and wanting to play hard for each other. So it's been awesome, man. Been really blessed to have what we've got over here facility wise and the buy-in and all that kind of stuff. And now we get to put some pads on as we get closer to Saturday and actually play some real football here soon.
Absolutely. It's nothing like that first day of contact, man. People ask me, what do I miss about not coaching? That's one of the main things right there for sure.
Absolutely. I was a receiver, so I don't know if I missed too much of the getting hit part, but definitely now that I'm on the sidelines and I can watch it, I can appreciate a little bit more that the kids like to go after each other, get after each other. And, the best part sometimes is after, 5 months of competing in certain drills, just getting to kind of, go shoulder to shoulder and head to head and meet somewhere. And then so many times you've got that mutual respect nowadays, especially with us. Someone's going to win the rep. There's always going to be a winner and a loser, but man, how often is it that they're picking that kid up or somebody else is coming up and trying to coach them up and encourage them and get after them for the next time. So that's what we're trying to see, that competition. And then at the same time, I understand that's a teammate.
Absolutely. That's well said, Coach, for sure, man. You guys are got a little bit of a different conference this year. What are your thoughts on? It's basically just a Union County conference. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the generic answer for most coaches is whoever's on the schedule is whoever you're going to play, and we don't worry about it. But Union County is a special place for football with the great teams we've got here, and I know that as a county as a whole, they take a lot of pride in Union County football, and I think that they made it kind of a concerted effort to try and get Porter Ridge in a conference with Weddington and us and Marvin and some really good football teams. We're going to miss Charlotte Catholic. They do things in such a good way and always have great competition and that kind of stuff. And but we are glad and happy to have the addition of Porter Ridge in there too. We got to keep Parkwood on our schedule, which was something we were kind of scared of losing with them going down a division, us going up. So we kind of get to keep that rivalry going too. So it was the best of all worlds for us. We understand that the challenge is bigger, just going from the 4A division, not really talking about conference. But, these kids and most kids down here in Union County, I mean, they kind of feel like they've been playing 4A football for a while now. When you look at, the Weddingtons of the world could compete at a high level with a lot of those 4A teams. And, coming from Audrey Kell, which was one of the bigger schools, and being in that conference, I did see a lot of the same type of ball being played down here too. Not always the same athletes, but, we got really good coaching and really good kids and, a little bit more hard-nosed type of situations that the kids kind of, take pride in. So it's different. And, as always, we're really excited for a challenge, really excited for something new. New can be motivating sometimes.
Absolutely, for sure, man. Who are some guys that you feel like are going to stand out, for you guys this year?
Yeah. We have a kid named AJ Colombo who is the first stat I like to list him as is 3-year captain, because he's been a captain since his sophomore year, which is, I can list out a bunch of stats for the kid. He tied the county record with 17 catches in one game, and he's got all the receiving yards. He's preseason all county, and he's the best return man in the county last year with a lot of good players in this area. He sticks out, and he's kind of the way the heart and soul of this team goes. We get to actually, hang out and let him do some quarterback stuff with us too. Since we did graduate Evan Bernard at quarterback last year, and that's a whole lot of volume to replace his feet and his arm was really, really special. So being able to rely on him is big, and as a rising senior. We have an offensive lineman that's committed to Air Force in Trevor Tate, who's pretty much anything you ask for that you'd like to ask for from a lineman, he does it. Just a high motor that likes to finish kids into the dirt, and then he backs it up with technique. On the defensive side, we have another senior, Anthony Goodlow, who is preseason all-county as well, who led the team in tackles for losses. He's just a really good blitzer and finds holes and does a lot of good things on special teams. Really helped keep us in the Catholic game with that close game with blocked field goals and taking pride on kickoff and stuff like that. So those are our big three. And we have some young kids that are really special. Reese Morgan at corner is a guy that just came back from Oregon national track All-American. He's playing offense and defense this year, but specialized in corner last year. You got Parker Burke, who's a rising sophomore quarterback, and that's always fun. You got 3 years with the kid to develop. Is something you look forward to. Carson Hegley is moving from running back. And we got a plethora of offensive linemen with experience, and defensive lineman Chibuzo Ahimi is a guy I know you've seen at your camps that always works really, really hard, and is once again somebody that kind of vocalizes his leadership. And I could keep going down the list, and like I said, with a lot of these kids, it's not always about stats. It's a lot about character. One kid that's jumped out this summer and this fall camp is actually a rising sophomore in Keenan Jackson. And honestly, once again, kind of going back to my Audrey Kell days, Cedric Gray is a kid that played for me at Audrey Kell and is now playing really good ball at UNC at linebacker. And this kid reminds me a lot of him, just with his body type and his ability to go get the ball and that kind of thing. So really, if there's a better sophomore in our area at receiver, it's going to be hard to find. But I'm excited about his growth as well.
Man, you comparing him to Cedric Gray, I got to see this kid.
Yeah. I don't use that too lightly.
Nah, exactly, for sure.
He's got some growing to do, but he'll be okay.
Man, that's awesome. Good stuff, man. Where are you guys scrimmaging at next week?
Yep. So we're excited about Saturday. We're doing another one of your, like, kind of what you talked about with the community outreach stuff. We've got a Saturday scrimmage where it's just intra-squad going at 7:30. It's like I guess you kind of call it like a picnic type of situation where we're asking people to bring blankets and lawn chairs and kind of enjoy themselves. We're going to give out pizza and just kind of, once again, with us coming back from COVID, we want to do everything safely, obviously, with things going on. And since we're outside, we get the ability to have people we haven't seen in a while. We were lucky to have some people at our games. I know Charlotte didn't necessarily have that same situation, so we were blessed for that. But you still didn't get the same interactions with fans as you'd like to. So that'll be Saturday, and that'll be fun. That'll be a Navy and white scrimmage, and then Friday after that, we're actually traveling to Nations Ford, and there's a whole bunch of good ball that's going to be played there. I think they're going from 5:30 to 8:30. So you got us. I know Marvin Ridge is going to be there. I know Charlotte Christian's going to be there. Obviously, Nations Ford. We're going to go against a good Fort Mill team. And I want to say maybe one more team from our area going against some good South Carolina talent as well.
Yeah. I got tagged in. I think it's a second annual Nations Ford Jamboree.
Yes, yeah, they do a really good job over there at Nations Ford. And they're going to provide food for the players and all that kind of stuff. It won't cost us a dime, and we're really excited about that, just to kind of step up and get to hit somebody in a different color. Yeah,
that's always exciting for sure, man. My last question, I got told to ask this question, and and I told the guy, I said, I'm going to ask it. He was joking. He was like, you're not going to ask it. I said, I don't care. It's my show. I'm going to ask it. So, So here's the question. So it says, there's a very good volleyball program at Cuthbertson. What are your thoughts on Coach Welsh and Coach Fry leading the volleyball program?
Okay, yeah. I am very good at knowing my limits and my boundaries, and I clearly put a line at volleyball knowledge. But I can tell you from my standpoint, as far as hard work and culture and excitement and energy, that our volleyball program is second to none. And once again, going back to my Charlotte roots, Audrey Kell has one of the best volleyball programs that's around, with Zoe Bell leading that program. So I've seen it before. But Coach Welsh's done such a great job since he came here, and there's an excitement. You walk by that door, we're going to do a lift. You walk by the volleyball door, and it sounds like chaos is ensuing, and then there's a high energy. So I got to pick up my game, and that's what you want out of the athletic department. But our women's sports here, man, I'm telling you that our women's sports here are really, really special. And that we support each other, and our girls basketball team is a state contender year after year. Obviously our women's track team has won like 20 state championships in a row. Like we're really proud of our girls. Take it super serious, and we just throw support around there. So it's an exciting place to be. It's a very one support gets thrown around to multiple teams, and we're all in for each other. So it makes it a fun atmosphere.
Absolutely. Now, full disclosure, I work with Coach Fry, so he told me in my office today.
I figured it was an internal source there. Hopefully I passed. I've been watching the Olympics, but man, it's about my. And I don't watch the men too much, so I don't know very much about the volleyball when it comes to bump set and spiking it. But I can tell you that their program's going the right direction for sure from a culture standpoint.
Awesome, man. Well, Coach, as always, I appreciate talking to you. You've been, a good friend for years, and I love what you're doing down there. You've got the culture going the right way. You got the community involved, which is always awesome. And, man, I know I'm going to see you soon out here, on the sidelines for sure.
Yes, sir. No, thank you, man. I really enjoyed watching your growth and the growth that Charlotte Football Insiders has taken, and going back to your days of being on the sidelines down at Audrey Kell, and me just being a receiver coach that went behind the ears. I'm glad we got to keep this relationship, and you've always got a friend in Union County. I know that Tim Winters respects you a lot, too. He does such a great job for us down here, and I know that that's another guy that you guys can feel free to reach out to for any information you need, and we'll try to do the best we can down here to compete with y'all Charlotte people, and continue to grow rivalries and that type of thing. But thank you guys so much for everything you do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach, man. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, bud. All right, so that was Trey Cavanaugh. He's the head coach of the Cuthbertson Cavaliers, doing a great job down there in Union County. Always enjoy speaking with Trey. He's another great young coach that's going to do some big things, in his career for sure. All right, so now I got to bring on the crew's still here through 2 interviews. I'm very impressed. But, it's that time once again. And I got to get my thing up here. Where is it? I lost it. There it is. Slam time!
Pep, it's 9 o'clock. The show is on schedule. You are running such a tight ship. Of course, having Coach Phillips not here makes that easier. So we're going to go ahead and slime time. We're going to start with our man, the guy who we miss like crazy when he's not here, the guy who knows everything about upstate South Carolina, the guy who knows everything about Cleveland County football, Cowboy Collar Joe. Who are you sliming tonight?
I'm sliming everybody that has feelings that just tend to be totally out of whack. Feelings that tend to navigate everything that is a problem in the world. I feel this. I feel that. I feel this. Everyone has feelings. But the problem is going to continue to be those will never totally align with someone else's feelings. what we need to do is just take a load off, relax, and just live. That's all we can do.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Back in the day, we used to watch American Idol, and Britney Spears would always do a little judge rant, and she would start with, I feel like you were a little high. I feel like you didn't quite hit those notes. And it would drive my wife crazy. No, you don't feel like they were a little high. Good night. The producer, Brandon. Who are you sliming on tonight, man?
I got to take my slime down to Panthers training camp. And I got to slime JT Ivy. I hope I'm saying that right. Illegal hit on wide receiver Keith Kirkwood. So, to make matters, the team has already cut him. So on top of that, that's one bad thing. That's bad enough. You got to feel bad when you get cut from a team. But the worst part about it is now I'm sliming him on top of that, to really make matters bad in his life. But, you can't do that. You already, as an undrafted signee, you're already kind of on the outskirts looking in, a low percentage of you making the final roster. Anyway, then you do something like that, hopefully learn his lesson. I don't want it necessarily to end his chances forever. I think, somebody might give him one last shot, but I hope, this was a wake-up call that you, of all people, you got to take care of your own teammates. You can't be illegal knocking your own people out. But I think Kirkwood's okay, but, I got to slime him for that.
You said so much right there. It's one thing for a grown man to be cut by an NFL football team, but it is another thing for him to be slimed on the most influential prep football sports show on the internet in the entire Southeast. That's when you know you've hit rock bottom, when you get slimed on the Pep Man Show, Charlotte Football Insiders, Football Focus Weekly. Speaking of Pep Man, I know you've got a lot of lovely ladies in your life right now. Who are you sliming tonight? You might be in a good mood tonight. I don't know.
Kenneth, you never cease to amaze me. You guys that follow me on Facebook as my friends know what he's talking about. But I'm not going to talk about that tonight because that went viral, and I don't want to go viral anymore. So tonight I'm talking about sliming the I-85 construction in South Carolina. What in the hell are they doing down there, man? If you guys have been down I-85, if you're going to Atlanta, or if you're trying to go to Panthers training camp, for example, it goes down to one lane on both sides. Isn't that against the law where you can't pass somebody? Or if you have car trouble, is it just going to shut down the whole damn highway? It's been this way for, God almighty, 5 or 6 years? What are they trying to build? Some kind of super highway or something? What are the construction people doing in South Carolina, man? Do they need more tax money? Maybe all their money's going to great stadiums because they have great facilities down there. But maybe they need to shift some money to the roads and get this project done. Because, I've been to Atlanta, maybe 7 or 8 times the past few years, and it is just crazy trying to go down this road. So, yeah, I'm sliming the whole state of South Carolina construction division or whoever's in charge of that crap because it don't make no daggone sense, man. We got to get this done. Come on now. People trying to go to ATL and have some fun, man. Let's go.
I love it, Pep. I'm going to tell you who I'm going to slime tonight. And this is going to seem strange because on one hand, I'm loving it. On one hand, my beautiful, lush, green grass, no thanks to anybody except for me, is loving this 75-degree weather on August the 4th. Holy cow, it is looking good. But on the other hand, I'm going to slime the weather because it is stinking August the 4th. The third day of high school football practice ain't supposed to start out chilly. Dudes are not supposed to be wearing hoodies underneath their shoulder pads today. What is going on? It is supposed to be 98 degrees like it was last Wednesday. Dudes are supposed to walk out of the locker room and just feel the heat wave just enter down to the bones. Coaches are supposed to be like doing everything they can to stay hydrated so that they can scream at their players for one more rep. 75 degrees today. You talk about getting soft. What kind of third day of high school football practice is this? Weather, you've been slimed.
Hey, how you gonna slime to all the weather? Who do you slime for that? You slime like what Eric Thomas at WBTV? I mean, right? Oh, Randy's not there. All right. Well, yeah. Who do you slime for the weather, man? That's hard.
I'm not. I tell you who I'm not sliming. G Money. I ain't sliming him. I'm just gonna say the weather.
All right. Well, that works for me. All right. Well, on behalf of myself, the Pep Man, Kenneth, the Engine Mcclamrock, and Joe, I don't even know what to call you anymore, Hughes. I think you got something to attend to over there. This is the Pep Man, Matt Nora. Next week, we're going to be doing Charlotte. It's going to be public conferences, private conferences. It's going to be all Charlotte all the time. Next week, remember, Tuesday night next week. Wednesday night, we're doing scrimmages, so we'll be out. Well, I'll be out covering scrimmages. I know Joe may be at a scrimmage or two, and I might get producer Brandon out there too. So Tuesday night, 7:30, all Charlotte, all the time. Tune in, be ready to go. Good night, everybody.
You know which show runs the city.
Thanks for watching.